Why do I still fail being a content creator? I began making videos in late 2020, and then now it's about 3 years, almost 4 years now at this point in time. 3.5 years. I think the main reason is the following. Compound effect. If I record for multiple hours in a given day, and then the next day, and then the next day, then my English becomes better. My speaking becomes better. I have these standardized workflows then, which I can use again and again. If I have my notebook basically boot, then I can open the same windows again and again. And if I don't shut down my notebook at all, it is just, okay, let's start again. It's not even that I start, it's just like, okay, I continue this work, but then take 1 day out of this. 1 day out of the 7 days of a week, or if you even take 2 days out of this, then it might be the case, or just have 1 bad night of sleep, then it seems to be the case that this often leads me towards basically down a different path. And then I realize I need to fix this problem and this problem and this problem. And then I get a side job in order to be able to financially sustain myself, and then think I might still need to actually continue to study, and so on and so forth. So a couple of years ago now, about 2 years ago, or 2.5 years ago, I decided to basically try to continue this compound effect and record every single day. And then at least in terms of music production, I made the point of recording every single day. So every single day when 5 rolled around, I would basically in the beginning practice for 1 hour. I then decided I would record these practicing sessions, and this was basically then the music I actually then made with a loop station. And so every single day, no matter what else was there, apart from the days at which I couldn't because I had to work something else, or I don't know, every day where I actually could, I recorded. And so often this was quite painful because I was like in front of these lights. I didn't think that I right now should be in front of the camera. I just had eaten a large amount of food, for example, and I was not able to concentrate properly. It might have 30 degrees Celsius in the studio because it was summer and there was no, of course, now you might say luxury problems. What resulted out of this daily thing that I still admire to this day is that I recorded hundreds, basically. I think in total it might be 1,000 or 1,500 kind of songs, improvised songs. Now many of them aren't good, maybe 90% is trash. Nonetheless, I recorded and I continued to record, and the compound effect I experienced is basically something that I didn't really believe in. I didn't really believe that I was actually able to make something like music. This was the initial assumption, to make something that was music but improvised. I even tried improvising the lyrics, but as soon as something else came up and I interrupted this once, basically, then the compound effect started to basically not get away, but to slowly I slowly regressed basically to a level up from which, or on which, I would then only be able to record trash, basically. So the compound effect seems to be something that is just so incredibly important. And in creating these other now formats over the last years, so I began first making videos for TikTok mostly because I wanted to make YouTube videos for years. Before this, actually, I began blogging in around 2017. So already again 3 years before then beginning to make videos, short videos for TikTok. And I eventually wanted to transition to YouTube anyway, but this short opportunity of, okay, this is TikTok, this is where none of my friends probably will be watching, this is where I can make these, I don't know, 15-second, 30-second videos and just try it as an experiment. I then eventually decided to get off of TikTok, even though I actually for the first time in my life began basically to accumulate somewhat of an audience. So this could be 50 subscribers on this one channel, this could be 100 subscribers on this other channel. And one channel which I also kind of ran as a comedic experiment, I actually had 500, 600 or 700 subscribers in the end, but I basically told jokes with kind of it doesn't matter that much. But I actually then decided to cut this down because of the risk of getting cancelled because of one of these jokes. I also transitioned into just reading jokes from the internet, basically, but I shut this project down because I didn't want this to be part of kind of the bigger business plan, and I also wanted to streamline basically all of my strategy to be, for the most part, just neutral reporting on different things I tried out. And so this is also one thing I am trying out, becoming basically a content creator. Now, I also had multiple strategy changes over the years, but retrospectively. Now, in the moment, you might say, okay, this strategy change that now took 3 days in order to implement this and then to change all of these different things and the metadata on this video and this video might be something, and also this is something I think about it again and again, might be something that at least in the moment, or seen maybe from an outside perspective, and there are people in my life who criticize basically me trying to do this somewhat obviously, because I'm also not very successful at this point in time at this. And in the short term, it always might be something, or it might be seen as something that is actually just another side tangent I am going into. But retrospectively, I can somewhat say that all of these different things needed to be solved. These are problems I needed to overcome. For example, I needed to decide what format I would standardize my videos on in order to then not have to think about this question ever again, ideally. But of course, I'm thinking every now and then about the question of whether I should record in portrait or in landscape and so on and so forth, and what should be the different what should be my time distribution, or how much time should I spend in ideation, how much time should I spend in recording video, and how much do I spend in distribution, and how can I get distribution down? Does it, for example, make sense to only title the videos with the IDs I create once, which is basically the timestamp of beginning of the recording of the video. So once I begin to record a video, that's the timestamp, that's at least as of now the title of the video. I recently also made the change that I would disable all the different comments, basically on all channels and on all videos I would disable the comments. Why? Because probably I would be in the future not be able to I see these things all the time. I cannot control whether I see them, and that's the main thing. When I log into YouTube Studio, and I decided to also only upload to YouTube, videos only to YouTube, and I also decided to mostly now make videos, not blogging, not something else, mostly make videos, one after the other in different formats. Now, with the comments, for example, when logging into YouTube, and this also has been kind of a, how should I say it, a razor or a filter. If I cannot control it, why should I have it? Now, if I cannot control the comments that I see in YouTube Studio, then I will never be able to control basically my thoughts. If I am not able to control my thoughts and I log into YouTube Studio to upload a video, and then I see a good comment, a bad comment, the good comment, what does the good comment do? I don't know. I might feel good about myself, which is probably not the best thing in order to continue to make better something, because, well, I might just as well criticize myself and take this criticism and do the things that I already can see. Because if somebody else criticizes me, of course, I could try to improve this. But once I basically then say, okay, I do whatever this person is saying, or this person is saying, or this person is saying, then I'm reliant on all of these people. But as long as I use myself as an audience proxy and I watch my videos and I'm like, oh, this is total garbage, and this is because why, and this is because of this and this and this, and the audio is bad, and this is bad, and this is bad, and the intro was bad, and the outro was bad, and in between I mumbled all the time, then I can improve upon this, and I can ask myself every time. But once I log into YouTube Studio and I see something, then I might not be able to control my thoughts. I cannot ask the source any more questions. I might be led to answering these things. I might be able to respond. I might come up with a response. I might spend 30 minutes thinking about a possible response to this, and this might come up again and again. So I decided to just disable it, because even if I am somewhat reasonably successful, I possibly will get dozens or hundreds or thousands of comments in a single day, week, month, year, and I will probably never be able to process all of this. It's just too much information. So I figured I better cut it out. Now I also deleted all of the comments I already got, which in total sum of all of these channels, at least on YouTube, were maybe, I don't know, maybe 50 to 250 comments up until now. Also on TikTok I got a couple of comments, but I haven't logged into TikTok in now months, I think. Mostly out of multiple reasons. So what is the reason I am still failing? The reason I'm still failing is because I haven't made the process efficient enough. And for this reason, I am then in the day from day to day to day, I have to set up structures again and again. I have to get into recording videos in English again and again and again. I don't speak that much English out, and it also is quite apparent now. I don't speak that much English out of this here. I also my voice kind of becomes detrained the less I speak in a given day. If I speak for 4 hours every day, let's say, then my voice seems to be kept at a higher level. This is also true if I sing singing is the thing I do. Of course, now singing might be something that is weird, but nonetheless, if I sing, I'm training my voice at a basically higher range, not a higher range, but a broader range, which also seems to be able to have my voice then respond. So a given basically requirement, not like a requirement. If I say in my brain I want to say this word, and then whatever comes out of my mouth seems to be way better if I have a reasonably trained voice compared to not. Then my voice kind of goes down and I mumble, and so nobody understands me. Also during the day, which seems to then be quite of a problem. Nonetheless, this is somewhat fixable by just doing it again and again. In the beginning, for example, I wrote for an hour every single day. But in this hour I could have, now retrospectively, and also back then I already kind of knew this intuitively, I could have made, I don't know actually how many shorts I am able to produce in a given hour. It might be 10, because the question is also how much time do I then spend in distribution, and how much time did I spend coming up with these ideas. But let's just say I don't spend any time coming up with these ideas. These are just ideas that are on my mind. But then I have the problem if I just blurt out ideas that are on my mind in order to distinguish them and distribute them to different audiences, then I have to rewatch every single video. If I don't want to rewatch every single video and then after the fact determine on which channel this actually fits on, then I would have to produce maybe, let's say for 1 hour, I only produce for one channel. But this also means that I have then directly to do the distribution afterwards. But if then there is a problem, then I need to first fix this problem, because I rely on this, okay, I just record and then I upload all of it. If I then decouple this and let's say, okay, I record for maybe 5 days of a week, and then on the 5th or on the 6th and the 7th day, I actually then go through all of these things, track them, and then upload them. Then what might be the case, and this is also a system I actually tried out already, I think 2 years ago. What the problem then often becomes is that you begin to become kind of hyper-focused on the distribution, and then the longer you stay away from recording and the longer you basically, then there seems to be this build-up of tension of, okay, maybe I cannot actually do this, maybe all of what I will then be saying will be not so good, and if then the first 10 videos, let's say, depending on whether it's shorts or long videos, then are actually not so good, then the self-doubt kicks in, and the question of whether it actually does not make any sense to not title the videos, to not put any tags in the channel, or also to not have a thumbnail apart from this, and to also record in this other format. Out of all of these different reasons, and of course now the current process is the result out of hundreds, maybe thousands, maybe, I don't know, tens of thousands of optimizations I made now over the couple of last years, the last 3.5 years basically, and also before this, because video is only kind of the result out of beginning to blog and also beginning to do a couple of different things, and then it seemed to be the case that I have in the long term possibly, I think, the highest possible leverage, because now leverage in terms of different meanings. First of all, I think I think that compared to other things that I cannot do so well, I obviously cannot speak also that well, but compared to other things, I probably have kind of a bigger leverage in terms of me just speaking about random things, because I'm interested in this and this and this and this and this, and so the synthesization, or whatever the proper word is, or the combination of all of these different ideas already happens in my mind anyway. And so I'm just basically using whatever is on the timeline of my mind, and I'm just recording this at a higher frequency than I would otherwise. Otherwise, I maybe wouldn't record these ideas at all. So to some extent, this is also kind of a purpose of documenting all of the different things that are happening in my life. And all of the different ideas I have, because if I wouldn't have the opportunity to record them in a video form, then I would forget about these, and I would never record these, and I would never make something out of all of these ideas. Now, compound effect. Over the last couple of days, I have recorded now maybe 1 to 2 hours in a given day. Now, of course, there are other things I need to do. I also need to eat, I need to sleep, I need to maybe work on a side job, and so on and so forth. I also have not only the video project, but I have maybe 2 or 3 other projects as well. Of course, the question then becomes, what is the thing I should focus on the most? And the question is also, should I focus just on video, or maybe just making music, or have a combination of both, or also maybe try to still continue studying, because otherwise I will never have the leverage to, or the skill to then actually, or the qualification or the certification to then apply for a job, and therefore have a decent chance at basically earning somewhat of a reasonable salary, and to provide maybe for me, but also maybe for my family in the future. So this has been a project that has been intertwined in so many areas of my life, and I again and again think, and again I listen to other people, what they are saying, and then I listen to this content creator who has this strategy, and sometimes there are valuable ideas in there. But if I just maybe shut out 90% of this and just concentrated on improving on the things that I already know I should improve, like what if I did actually record, I don't know, 250 shorts in a given day and would distribute them every single day? What are the chances that I would get 0 views from these, even if I now, without basically properly titling them, without hashtagging them, I'm still getting at least every now and then a couple of views on these kind of new shorts. But in the last couple of weeks and months, I have not been continuous. So this is the big problem, I think. This is the big reason I've not been able to monetize any channel on YouTube, with monetization being to turn on the ads, not taking sponsorships or something like this, because I also, at least as of now, have decided that this would first of all prevent me from producing more. If I then continue to insert affiliate links to something, I tried this, and it just took away so much time, because the distribution proportion, if I have a given fixed time amount that I can work on something, then the more time I spend in distribution, the less is there for recording, and the less is there for recording, the worse the quality of the videos, at least as of now. And since I also do not edit the videos, and this also has been just an optimization, it's a long-term bet, similar to long-term investing. If you think about betting on basically the market, not betting on the market, but investing into the market, then it's 5% a year. 5% of basically improvement in terms of capital, and then you deduct. So it depends on, sometimes it's 8%, and then the inflation rate is 2 or 3%, and so you have these 5% of market return, which is kind of the average of the worldwide market if you just invested into an ETF, an exchange traded fund, which would give you this return. Now, this idea is that by investing in myself, by basically allowing myself to improve on speaking, by basically improvising every single video I make, apart from maybe noting down a few things, or sometimes recording these ideas beforehand. And if I read tweets or a blog post, then obviously I'd read. But if I improvise on this, then this also helps me in other areas of my life, because if I speak for 4 hours every single day, and in this case also in English, now there is also an argument to be made, maybe I should just not focus on English, because I'm still living in a country that is not English, and so therefore there is also this lack of fluency in this other language that I actually would call my mother tongue. And so why am I still this terrible in content creation? Because I think the compound, if you think about investing and you think about, okay, I invest on this day and on this day, and then I have a totally different strategy, because now I invest in crypto, and now I buy Pokemon cards and I sell them on eBay, and then I do something else, and then I do something else, and compare this to somebody who just invests again and again the same amount of money every single month. And in my case, it, I think, needs to be every single day. If I don't play guitar at least for 10 minutes every single day, then my skill gets worse. If I don't talk for, I don't know what the sweet spot or what the minimum or maximum amount is, but I think it's around maybe an hour at least every single day. And if I don't talk an hour every single day, then my speech and my voice and my fluency and my grammar and so on gets way worse, actually, up to the point where, and the upper limit would be that most people don't even realize that I am not, so people at least, I think. So I had some videos, I think, where my fluency in English, of course, maybe not the grammar, and somebody who speaks mother tongue English would probably always be able to distinguish. But somebody who is just also a foreign speaker like myself probably wouldn't even realize at least which accent I have, or that or would maybe not able to basically say, okay, this is this accent, and so on and so forth. So what I'm trying to say is, I think I need to be way more consistent, and this is to some extent so hard, because sometimes it feels like this prison you have, that you basically lay onto yourself, this prison that you cannot really escape. Because what happens if you do want to hike for a given day? Then you don't record any videos. You also don't distribute any videos. This is a day where you don't play 10 minutes of guitar. This is a day where you don't play 10 minutes of piano. I actually, at a couple of points in my life, was able to somewhat play things on the piano, but now I'm not. The same is true for playing the cajon. The same is true for singing. I at least sometimes would be able to say that I at least somewhat reasonably would be able to sing, and currently I am not, because the compound effect is missing. The same is true for so many other things. So the question is always how to distribute them. The question is obviously also how to distribute these things and other things, but the longer, and then the question again becomes, what is the thing you actually want to focus on? But, well, so the current idea is that I have basically that from the timeline I have, the timeline that is basically the things I experience. I take out things in different formats, and then I also have not only these different formats, but also every single topic has kind of a channel, and then all of these channels have also these subformats. So I have multiple channels for each topic, basically, which are in different formats. The first one is this format. The next one is a format where I just record this here and I just write out things. Then I have a format where I run around with my camera, mostly in my apartment, to show, okay, this is the protein powder I currently use, and this has these macros and so on and so forth, and I've experimented, blah blah blah. This is the rear format. Then I have a format I call Code, which is basically reading blog posts and tweets. Then I have a format, this is kind of a new format, which I am currently developing, and I haven't made the channels yet, which I will probably call, I don't know. And there I just take screenshots from my phone, and I just blurt out one idea that seems to be something that so usually I document mostly changes. Whenever I make changes to a habit, for example, I take a screenshot, because then I can, first of all, remind myself. I also can provide evidence by journaling. So if I say, okay, I did this and this and this, then I actually kind of have the evidence, and it's not just me believing past me that I did this, which is often kind of questionable. At least past me is often kind of questionable, and future me then questions what past me did. And so this is another format I have. I also might in the future do interviews, but I am not sure how this actually fits into scheduling, and the efficiency of, basically the efficiency per video probably goes way down once I introduce a show or something like this, or interviewing people. Then you also have the scheduling cost and so on and so forth. Then I have a format where I screen record my phone mostly, and maybe also my notebook in the future, and that's mostly it with the different kinds of formats. And so this is, I think, why it hasn't happened yet. Now in total, maybe a couple of numbers. I seem to have produced in between 5,000 and 6,000 videos. I think the number is 5,300 or something like this. With videos is meant that these are videos that I have produced, and they're also online on YouTube. Mostly some are also on TikTok and not on YouTube, because I haven't transferred them, but I have them still in my tracking database. So I've produced over the last 3.5 years 5,000 to 6,000 videos, of which a couple of hundred are long videos, sometimes up to, I don't know, 50 minutes, sometimes it's 20 minutes, sometimes it's 15 minutes, sometimes it's over an hour. And the shorts, this is the second main length format, go up to 1 minute, and after it is cut off and it would count as a long video. But I try to not have any videos with the length of 1 minute to 2 minutes, because then I cannot really distinguish both. And I now already 1.5 years ago reached probably the 1 million view mark, but I could not properly track this because TikTok did not provide stats. So you can only look up the last 30 days. So I tracked this, and so you can either look up the last 30 days or the individual video views, but then you have to go through all of the different videos, or maybe you can make a bot or something like this that actually would do this for you, but I wasn't able to. And of course, maybe if I had invested time into something like this, then I would have been able to, but I decided to focus on the videos instead and not put too much weight on the tracking, even though, of course, whatever you don't track is whatever you cannot really manage. So I already, I think, have reached the million view mark, kind of. So across all of my channels and across all of my platforms, counting basically the views of one video on multiple platforms, basically summing up those. And currently I don't really know what the views would be. I also privated or deleted lots of videos on TikTok because they seem to no longer fit into basically my thinking as of now. Maybe I actually did not, so I did not have them as neutral as I wanted them to be, and maybe I thought, not false, basically I kind of thought, if you say something, then you kind of make a model of reality, and the simpler the sentence, the more the more false this model of reality is. And so I try to now, at least ideally, develop myself and my thinking into kind of a more neutral way, which then also, as a sub-function of this, would make the videos kind of more neutral, I would say. Now, this is the views. I don't know how many channels I actually have. I might have somewhere in between, I don't know, 25 to 50 channels at this point in time. Some of which have 20 subscribers, some one has 35, one has like 60. The couple on TikTok are also still there. On YouTube you can get the total views, which is very nice, so I would be able to track the total views, but I also have to log into all of the different channels, or at least go through all of the different channels. Maybe I just make a page with where I have these numbers, and then I would track the numbers, because obviously the views are still a metric that is somewhat useful. Now you could also go into tracking likes and something like this, but with the views and the number of videos I produced, I can then make up, okay, how many views do I get on average for a video? And then I can also maybe calculate around with CPM. So this is how much money you get for a single video, but I haven't really dove into this specifically. Now there are also different strategies. Maybe I should focus on music because it's easier for me to make something, and it's also, music is has a kind of infinite shelf life compared to something that is a video about, I don't know, something that is currently happening, and therefore in 2 years of time nobody will watch this.